The monster we'll be talking about tonight is called the Shen Gaoren. The Shen Gaoren's name is derived from these Chinese characters, Shen, Gao, Ren, which literally mean godly tall man when combined. In the lore, the Shen Gaoren is classified as a carapacean. Carapacean are crustaceous-like monsters that have a hard shell and exoskeleton, or crab-like bodies. The Shen Gaoren resembles other carapacean like the Shogun Scimitar, except for its massive size. This monster is huge. This crustaceous colossus towers over the hunter in its fight. The Shen uses a skull of a dead Lao Shaolong for protection and defense. Fun fact, the Lao Shaolong skull on the back of the Shen Gaoren can be broken up to 3 times. The skull drops Lao Shao shells and Elder Dragon bones. As we can see in this concept art, not all of the crab-like monsters were going to use skulls and shells. In this concept art, we can see that it's actually using a cactus instead of a skull or a shell. The notes on this concept art read, "This giant crab has formed a symbiotic relationship with the demon cactus that is able to survive in the harsh desert climate. This crab carries the cactus to an oasis, where the cactus can fill itself with water. This store of water is what keeps the crab and the cactus alive while they travel across the great expanse of the desert. To feed, the crab buries itself into the sand, leaving only the cactus visible on the surface. Small monsters are drawn to the seemingly safe shelter offered by the cactus, only to fall prey to the crab's grand plan." The Shen Gaoren also has these 2 lone species, the Tapiki Shen Gaoren and the Gaoren Shen Gaoren from Monster Hunter Online, the Japanese-only online Monster Hunter MMO. Not to be confused with subspecies, lone species are rare monsters that live a completely solitary life. These monsters usually feature an alternate color palette and often boast different anatomical features and abilities from the common species. These 2 lone species of Shen appear to have what looks like a Cantor skull on their back. I could be wrong though, I can't really tell what it is. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below. Okay, getting back to the normal Shen Gaoren. Its fight plays out very similarly to the Lao Shaolong fight, which you have to defend a fortress or town from the invading monster. To learn a little bit more about the Shen, let's read its in-game description. A giant carapacean with an equally giant monster skull on its back, prone to roaming and fiercely territorial. Any intruder will be met with opposition, so nearby forts and towns must be wary of its presence. I find its in-game description really funny. Like, it's saying that it's territorial but also roaming. This is the equivalent of someone like breaking into your house and then claiming the kitchen is theirs. What a ridiculous thing to actually think about, right? The Lao Shaolong skull on its back is actually larger than the normal head of a Lao Shaolong. This is true of all of the carapaceans who wear skulls on their backs. The skulls that they wear on their backs are absolutely larger than the skulls of the actual monsters you fight. For example, this Monoblos skull is actually larger than the model of the Monoblos' actual head. I just thought that was an interesting fact I wanted to add into the video. I want to talk a little bit more about the Shen and its personality, I guess you could say. The Shen in its fight is actually a lot more aggressive than the Lao Shaolong. The Shen will actually stop and target a hunter and try to attack it. Although its claws look very menacing, these are actually the claws of a scavenger. If we look at the possible real-life inspiration of the Shen, we can see that it may be based off of the Japanese spider crab. These crabs are not as aggressive as the Shen, but they are scavengers. If you've ever fought the Shen Gaoren, you notice that he's not really fighting you per se. Right? He's more so just walking into a straight line and you have to hit its legs and get it to fall down. I do realize I said that the Shen was more aggressive than the Lao Shaolong, but in no way does walking in a straight line imply actual combat. So we can see that the Shen may actually be a scavenger monster, not necessarily one that's actually trying to fight, but more so roaming and scavenging for food. We can even see in this concept art of what appears to be the Shen Gaoren that its body may have had more of a red tint to it than the blue Shen Gaoren that we got in the game, giving it more ties to its possible real-life counterpart, the Japanese spider crab. But that's all speculation on my part, so take that with a grain of salt. Okay, let's look at one of my favorite, if not my favorite, piece of concept art of the crabs, or the carapacean. This is just labeled the tall crab. So let's read some of the descriptions. So we can see right here, there's examples of the legs and the legs being broken. We can see that it has 3 legs and that just like the Shen Gaoren, when it takes damage, it appears that it would fall down. Over here, we can see the upper body can twist 360 degrees. That's interesting. And this is a really menacing like horn that it has. Oh, this is crazy. Okay, let's read this. This shrimp's horn can be extended or retracted. The creature jumps, attacking with its horn. That's like super wild. It almost looks like a drill. That's super cool. This creature is super tall. Yeah, go figure, right? You can't kill this monster by attacking the legs, but if you keep attacking the legs, they will eventually snap, bringing its main body down closer to the ground, where it can be reached with melee weapons. Its legs will grow back after a set amount of time. This is really interesting. Comparing this to the actual Shen Gaoren fight that we got, the actual Shen fight, you have to hit the legs just like this concept art, but in the Shen fight, you hit the legs until they glow red, and then once all the legs are glowing red at a certain point of damage, the Shen will fall down, at which point you're able to attack the body of the Shen. In this design, it looks like the legs would break off completely, which is really like creepy if you ask me. Another thing that I've noticed in these like early concept arts, like this one and the one right here, is that the crab-like monsters, the Carapacetion, look more like crabs. Like their faces have more of like the crab shape, and their bodies have more of a crab shape than the eventual shrimp face that we got. You know what I mean? Like if you look at the Shogun Scimitar and then this concept crab, you can see that the concept art is more crab-like, and the Shogun has this like shrimp face. I don't know. That's just something I noticed. It's really interesting to see how the crabs evolve through the design process, you know? There's one more piece of concept art I wanted to talk about that's possibly connected to the Shen Gaoren, but before then, let's look at some item descriptions. Carved from the Shen Gaoren, shaped by time, this shell is harder than even metal. Time has changed this ordinary shell into a thick and heavy one. A phantasmal shell, when crafted, said to unify the earth and seize the sky. Carapaced from the spine of the Gaoren, its strength is absolutely fortress-like. Heavy black shell. With this, the Gaoren becomes a mighty fortress. A claw so hard it smashes walls into dust in one hit. Patterned after an ancient god, aged Gaoren materials are said to hold its power. Made by refining Shen Gaoren crafting to its core, an impregnable wall of armor. Gloves made from Shen Gaoren materials. Its crafting is a testament to ingenuity. Thick, solid wall of armor. Shen Gaoren materials give it unimaginable protection. Made from solid Shen Gaoren materials, one's feet feel like firmly grounded roots. These item descriptions tie in really nicely to this last piece of concept art that we have. So this piece of concept art that appears to be a later stage of the Shen. As we can see, it has the Lao Xiaolong skull, but it also has these legs that are fortress-like. They have this like brick wall motif around the legs, really tying in nicely with the idea that the Shen is a walking fortress. If I had to guess, this is probably a later design, and it was refined a little bit more into the Shen we have now. But this is a really good like conceptual idea of the Shen, and it ties in really nicely with its item descriptions and its armor. Its armor also talks about ancient gods, and I couldn't really find too much on the armor. Like if you know what this armor is kind of based off of, please let me know. I really want to know. If I had to give a guess though, it looks like the armor might be based off of terracotta sculptures, or possibly even the Terracotta Army. The Terracotta Army is a collection of terracotta sculptures depicting the army of Qin Shi Huang. Oof, I'm sure I nailed that one. It is a form of funerary art built with the emperor in 210 to 29 BCE, with the purpose of protecting the emperor in the afterlife. We can even see these dual swords from Monster Hunter Frontier G very much resemble the Jian. The Jian is a double-edged straight sword used during the last 2,500 years in China. The first Chinese source that mentions the Jian dates back to the 17th century BCE, during the Spring of Autumn period, one of the earliest specimens being the sword of Guijin. Wow, I'm so sorry, I'm pretty sure I butchered like all of that, but you get the idea. A shout out to the Fist of Fury hammer. It's just a big stone fist, and that's absolutely beautiful, and one of my favorite weapon designs from the Shen Gaoren. Now if we take a quick look at the female gunner armor, we can see that it may be based off of the Dogu. Dogu, which literally means earthened figure, are small humanoid animal figures made during the late part of the Jomon period, 1400 to 400 BC of prehistoric Japan. Overall, the Shen has a very cohesive design between the armor and the weapons. They look like they fit really well together, and I'm finding myself really appreciating the designs of the weapons and the Shen itself. The more and more I researched for this video, the more and more I kind of fell in love with the Shen. What an interesting like idea for a monster. I mean, I've always loved the crab monsters. Like the Shogun Scimitar has always been one of my favorite monsters, but researching for the Shen really has me like growing a soft spot for him. And that's it. That's the Shen. That's all I've got. Oh man. Okay, if you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And this is my first try of this like monsterology series that I want to do. Now the name might change, I'm not like married to it or whatever, but this was pretty fun to like write and research for, so I'm definitely gonna do this again. If you want to see more, please subscribe, and I need feedback. Please let me know how you felt about this video, because I really want to make more of these and I want to make them better and better. Also, like, I stream on Twitch Mondays and Thursdays, twitch.tv/ken7689. We have a blast over there. Right now we're playing Generations Ultimate. We took a break from Rise, but we'll probably play some Rise later. If you feel inclined, please come hang out. I'd love to meet you. And if you want to keep up with everything I'm doing, follow me on Twitter. All my socials are going to be in the description below. That's everything I have for this video, but this was super fun, and I hope to see you again. Yeah, well, bye.